Pleasant Grove Police Department responded to what they believed was somebody in a cardiac arrest.
Is your wife breathing?
She is not.
There was a doctor at the scene who was directing things.
50-year-old Michele MacNeill had undergone a full facelift, pretty much at the insistence of her husband, Dr. Martin MacNeill. A healthy 50-year-old woman doesn't just die.
Police didn't really conduct much of an investigation at all. They didn't collect any of the evidence, closed the book on this case, and ruled it a natural death.
I thought that if this is a healthy woman that died, that there would be some sort of big police investigation. Their police report onto my mother's death is about 2.5 paragraphs. I thought the police were going to be doing an investigation. I was waiting for the autopsy to come back.
And what did the autopsy find when it came in?
The autopsy said she died due to natural causes.
Natural cause? She's not an old woman.
She just turned 50 years old. I mean, she had a few issues. She had a little bit of high cholesterol, some high blood pressure.
Do your little thing, Mom.
Martin seemed really ready to move on right away. He wanted this closure.
My father demanded that we have a funeral within just a couple of days. And we were all still devastating and reeling from the shock of my mother passing away.
My dad said, we need to have the funeral on Saturday. That would have been 3 days after her death.
Martin was just adamant things were going to be done his way.
Her own brothers and her own sisters weren't allowed to attend the funeral.
Martin threatened the Summers family if anyone showed up, he was going to call police and have them escorted from the funeral.
Certain members of the family were told if they showed up, that he'd have them escorted out by police.
Among the crowd of Michelle's friends and neighbors was one mysterious dark-haired woman who was not invited to the funeral, who had never met Michelle, and that was Gypsy Jillian Willis.
Why would you go to her funeral? Who invited you?
No one invited me. I just found out where it was.
You crashed her funeral?
I had felt sorry that I had been involved with Martin inappropriately. I felt
that was
sorry.
the way to show that sorrow, was to go to her funeral?
No one knew who I was.
Martin knew who you were.
Martin knew who I was, and that's why I was there. I knew it would be a hard time for him.
Gypsy was very concerned about staying connected with Martin after Michelle's death. She was almost desperate to stay involved in Martin's life now that Michelle was gone.
You did send him 2 suggestive pictures of your naked back. Why did you do that?
I wanted to keep his attention. It's cold. It sounds heartless. I'm sorry. But I knew that he would be having a hard time, not thinking of me, and that was selfish.
You understand that from the outside looking in, you're having an affair with this man, the wife inexplicably dies, you show up to her funeral, send him text messages during the funeral. It looks like you've come in to claim your prize.
I did not look at it like that.
And we come to find out that my dad had been dating Gypsy for several years before my mom's death.
Both Alexis and Rachel volunteered right away that they would take care of the younger children, but Martin had a set plan right away that he was going to hire a nanny.
And he said, oh, I found the perfect nanny. And I said, what's her name? And he said, oh, I think it's Jillian. I said, Dad, Gypsy Jillian Willis. I said, I know that woman. I know Mom was worried you were having an affair with her, and you were not to bring her in the home.
And he said there was going to be an interview for a nanny, and there was only one candidate, and that was Gypsy.
Gypsy.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And she got the job.
She didn't cook, she didn't clean, she didn't take care of the children in any way.
Why did you move into the home?
Martin told me that he needed help with his younger children.
Were you still sleeping with him?
I was.
So were you the nanny or were you the girlfriend?
I moved in to help with the kids. When we had opportunity, I still slept with him.
So you were both?
If you want to look at it like that.
She walked into the house like she owned the place. And then when I questioned my dad and said, what's going on? He said, oh, she's a guest in our home, and how dare you question me?
I was told that I needed to leave the home because I wasn't nice to Gypsy.
So we were basically, we were pushed out of the house by my dad. I didn't even have shoes on, not even a phone.
He wanted to make it known that it was either Gypsy or his children, and he chose the nanny.
Yeah.
The nanny.
A few months after Michelle's death, Gypsy wanted to introduce Martin to her family, and so they took a trip to Wyoming where Gypsy introduced Martin for the first time to her parents.
He said, I never loved Michelle, but I loved Gypsy. And I said, but you had a family with Michelle. He says, actually, I loved her as a friend, I loved her as a sister, but I never loved her like I loved Gypsy.
He gave this grand speech about how he loved her and how he loved her from the moment he saw her. He knelt and proposed to her, and Gypsy cried. It was very fairy tale.
His wife has not been in the grave over 90 days when he proposes marriage to his mistress.
This was the man who'd been telling you just a couple months earlier that he had the perfect life and the perfect wife.
Yeah.
So you must have been shocked when 3 months after she died, he proposed marriage to you.
I wasn't shocked. It just, like I said, it seemed very natural. It seemed like a natural progression. I believe he loved his wife. He did sincerely mourn Michelle, but she was gone. And I didn't suspect anything unusual.
Don't you think it's a little funny that he goes from saying, I love Michelle, to, oops, she died, move in, let's continue sleeping together while you take care of my kids, and will you marry me?
I realize it looks pretty cold on the outside.
Gypsy had an estranged relationship with her parents. They had many fallings out. At one point, they had gotten into a physical fight.
I would consider Gypsy to be a deceptive, malevolent, malicious, calculating person.
I was bruised from head to toe. I had a sprained knee. I had choke marks around my neck.
She lunged forward and she bit me on my upper left bicep. A bad bite. You could count every single tooth mark. She doesn't care who gets hurt. She doesn't care what circumstances are ruined.
If she sees something she wants, she will rationalize it to herself to the point where she will get that. And it doesn't matter who stands in her way.
Those are your family.
I know.
They think that you're capable of murder.
They are horrible and they are hateful. It is appalling that my family would say such things. And I think it is completely unfounded and unjust.
In a bad way, they were perfect for each other. Together, I believe that they are perfectly capable of killing Michelle. They're like a pack of dogs. One dog alone might be malicious, might take a nip out of things, but two dogs together hunting are lethal.